Hey friends, how you doing? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm TheTranspondster, and today we are building in The Sims 4 like we usually do, and I am building in San Sequoia, continuing on with the save file I've been working on for over a year now. There are so many lots and so many worlds and so many townies and so many more townies sort of that I'm creating for this save file. So yeah, a lot of work. But anyway, we're basing it off of real life, sort of, mostly just realistic builds. So this one here is going to be based off of San Francisco, particularly the Sausalito area. So it's going to be a bike shop. It's admittedly not my most functional small business, but there are some things that do work here. I have a couple displays that I'm hoping you'll be able to sell some small little active themed products. Like, I think I used bowling pins and maybe some toy cars even, so not necessarily even activeness, but yeah, or like fitness themed, if you know what I'm trying to get at. I decorated the space pretty well for a bike shop, which mostly I just wanted the couple here to have that sort of vibe to them, the free-spirited, easygoing lifestyle where they're just casually running a little bike shop because that's their passion together. The boyfriend of the couple that's going to be running this shop is going to be more of the avid bike rider, more the adventurous type. However, the girlfriend's going to be a little more on the artsy side, deep into music, has some guitars up in their apartment, but does like being a little adventurous too, and that's kind of what brought them together in the first place. So, she enjoys being down in the shop helping out as well. There is also going to be a little coffee kiosk around the outside. There will be like a little patio area for customers to go sit, have a coffee. So when it came down to the small business aspect of this lot, I made the customers want to drink coffee and like stick with their household sort of thing. Very minimal, basic stuff. I do also off camera before uploading to the gallery add in a ticket kiosk, so you can choose to charge your Sims customers for how long they're spending in your shop instead, if that's the route you'd rather go down. I do have a bathroom, and I do believe I get in a changing table because I am trying to put those into all of my community lots, which these ones theoretically are, even though they're also residential lots, which is what is on the upstairs here. The couple's going to live in their apartment. It is just a one bedroom, but it's pretty updated and bright and fairly spacious in terms of apartments. They have room for either like a little dining area in that nook there, because the kitchen will be a galley kitchen down the center off the bathroom, and then the living space is what you first walk into. I do have like a little entrance area. I feel like this could have been a home, but it was probably built with the intent to be a business with an apartment above it, because it has this big front like walk up area that you can use for seating. And yeah, I do like how kind of hip and fresh this place turned out. I do use some wood paneling on the walls that adds a little more character to it, and I fill this place up with bikes. I'm hoping that doesn't turn into a mess. I don't know how the bikes will be in gameplay, so unfortunately I can't say that I've play tested the business aspect of this, but in terms of walkability and all of that stuff, you're a-okay, not to worry. I also, at some point in the near future of this build, which is right now apparently, include a clothing rack because, fun fact, my family actually used to be a pretty avid bike riding family when I was in my early teen to late teen years, basically like my last little stretch of living at home. And we would go on family bike rides, so we had all the fun gear, and part of that includes the bike riding outfits. So, yeah, that is hypothetically what this clothing rack is, even though there is nothing that really resembles bike riding gear. I just kind of picked the closest thing to something athletic looking, and it does the job for the make-believe part of this. I was going to maybe try and sell some posters, but none of the ones that felt fitting would work on that wall, so I ended up getting rid of it, which I think is for the better because I use that space to get in like my alarm systems and stuff, which isn't that important, but they're useful to have in the game. Those jars for marbles are slightly pointless. They're more just for decoration. They can't be sold. They're not on a display surface. But again, going with the imaginary gameplay storyline that you've got going on here, it's just another little knickknack that you can buy in the store, much like the juice or powders that would be on that shelf from, I believe, Spa Day. It could even be a base game like bar back or, something like that. So yeah, I have bikes for all ages. Again, I don't know if Sims are actually going to try and interact with them. I also use Tool a little bit. I've been using it a little more often in my builds, more just to add a tiny bit to the exterior of the lots or tweak the sizing of the rugs mostly. But yeah, I use Tool to put in the little marble play area for kids if they're in the area. Those round tables in the middle are the ones that I believe you'll be able to sell products off of. You can change what's there. I just kind of picked something that would one, fit on the table properly without having to use move objects, and two, that was close enough to being athletic. Yeah, my options were very, very limited, but that's okay. Again, those little ink things that came from businesses and hobbies that I put next to that cash register there, which again is probably more for show, but those are hypothetically maybe like bike tire grease, or not tire grease, the chain. I think you oil the chain or grease the chain. Yeah, you can tell I was not the one that did the bike maintenance when we were an avid bike riding family. I definitely went to the bike stores because we would ride the bike to them sometimes and look at gear or whatever, and then we'd ride our bike to a coffee place. We live in a city, so sometimes that's what our bike rides looked like, but our city also has lots of trails and stuff, so we would ride to the different trails and go out in nature and explore that way too. Yeah, I kind of miss riding a bike. I haven't really ridden a bike since I left home. We used to rent them when we lived more in the city, but now that we're not so downtown focused, we don't have access to the rentable bikes the same way. We're kind of in the suburbs now, but still in the city. I kind of feel like this place would have that vibe. I also feel like San Francisco would be kind of a busy place. So I actually have zero clue on that one because I've never been. But yeah, that's the overall vibe I feel here, and I feel like the couple that runs this place follows through with that vibe very well. This is just a little break room area. I usually give them an eating space when it's a break room. Sometimes I'll throw in like a little stereo or something, but I don't think I did in this build. And then I just tried to clutter up some of the empty wall space a little bit. Again, with anything athletic that I could find. I'm really disappointed I didn't see the bike themed decorations that came with, I'm 90% sure, Businesses and Hobbies, because that would have been absolutely perfect in the wall on this build. But you know what? You live, you learn, and I missed the beat on that one. But I think it's okay because I had full intention to build a make-believe bike shop before Businesses and Hobbies even came out. I have a notebook that I plan all these lots out on, so I had a bike shop written down, and I was kind of excited that I could fulfill the actual business aspect of it slightly, not 100%, obviously, because like we've discussed, you cannot buy bikes at this bike shop. I guess I haven't exclusively said that out front. So yeah, you can't buy bikes at this bike shop, but it's for the vibe, guys. Your Sims are probably a little outdoorsy themed hipsters. Maybe they're eco-friendly. They don't want a car. One, they can't have one, which is somewhat fine with me. I mostly just want garages and driveways and cars I can place in them. Literally, if the car just appeared in the road like good old-fashioned Sims 2 days, that would be fine with me. But it's not number one on my radar, so it's like if it happens, it happens kind of thing. But I'm kind of predicting that it's gonna happen next. We've done the fairies, the horses, and there was like a wallpaper or something on one of the road maps that was released way back in the last year or so, and it had fairies, horses, and cars on it. So everyone was like, oh my god, we're gonna get these things, and cars is the last of those three. So I kind of have a feeling the next expansion pack or game pack or whatever kind of pack they make it into is going to be cars themed, or at least have cars in it. It might be like another city themed pack. I don't know how they would do that, like Sims Night Out kind of thing. I think in Sims 2 it was literally called Late Night, and it came with a city world that your Sims could travel to and visit community lots in a different way. And maybe it, no, I can't see it adding days, but it definitely added cars to that too. I remember when I got Sims 2, I got like the double deluxe edition, which came with Late Night and something else I can't remember. But yeah, good old responsibility-free times of my life. I miss that. Now I don't have all the hours in the day to pour into The Sims, and that's not always fun, but it's what I have to do as a grown-up now. Just bouncing back into the build a little bit in case you're here more for that rather than me rambling on about off-topic stuff. This is now into the apartment unit that they have. Obviously, this couple, they're not engaged, they're not married, they're just boyfriend, girlfriend, which is totally fine, and they could stay that way literally forever and still have, you know, that kind of level of relationship. But it also means that they could hypothetically split one day. They are young, and you know, I would think that he kind of made this his goal, and she's moved with him or in with him because, you know, they're together and have been long term. But yeah, if things do go sour with this couple because you want to date one or even both of them in your own version of this save file, or even if you just download them from the gallery when they get posted up there with the video, yeah, you could break them up, and he I would think would live here, because he's definitely the one that kind of takes more of the ownership of the bike shop. Because it's apartment living here, I kind of added this extra counter island piece that came with that kitchen kit, which I'm exploring a little more in depth right now for the first time. I definitely recorded this video a little bit ago, probably right before I went on a holiday. I was on holiday the last week, so all those videos were pre-recorded and missing the new expansion pack. So like this one, it doesn't have any of the Enchanted by Nature items, but I was definitely playing with some of the other new items in the kits that came out somewhat recently still. All the more storage you can get in an apartment unit, the better. I speak from very much experience of living in small units for the last almost decade of my life, which is kind of crazy to say. I would even say last decade, even though there was like a year or two gap in the middle where I did move back home, because I was living in like a room on an off-campus house when I did a stint in university way back when, which is wild that I can say way back when now in terms of that stuff, which, yeah, I feel like a decade is a way back when, you know, borderline. Once you pass a decade, that's more than a little while ago. Yeah. All right, moving on from how old I could potentially be. I think I tried to make it clear in this unit that it was a younger generation living here, a little bit more on the cutesy, maybe even millennial gray side, despite the kitchen having that darker furnishing to it. That would be something built in when they bought this place, because they aren't renting really. They do own this lot and the building on it, so they're not renting from anybody. But yeah, they are limited in their space still, like they are renting an apartment, because they are still living in just an apartment. I do like the layout of this one though, and it feels really apartment feeling to me. Sometimes you build an apartment and it doesn't quite feel like that. I sort of felt that way when it was like my first businesses and hobbies build, and I did a 3-story unit for Nordhaven, I think it's called. I'm blanking on the name of the world that came with that bag. But anywho, the first lot I built that was a business and residential unit. I did 2 businesses on the bottom level, and then the top 2 levels were their living space, and it was a fairly large, somewhat multi-generational family, so they needed the space, but it didn't quite feel like an apartment unit in the same way. So this one definitely feels more like that. And I did give them some dog food there, because they do also have a fairly large dog with them, being an outdoorsy type. He has a dog, and she's definitely grown to love him too, because they are a cute little family now. I pretty much just have to get the curtains up and the wall coverings, and this lot will be mostly done. There's not too much landscaping to do. I definitely do a little bit of terrain paint and maybe some plants. I can't quite remember on that. Usually when I don't do too much landscaping, I slap a tree down still. So it has a little something. I feel like a lot more color got added into this build just by putting some wallpaper on. They definitely like their blues and greens. Do not fret. I do see that missing piece of wallpaper on the outside. It seems really obvious right now, but I obviously didn't see it in that moment, or I would have done it when I was doing the rest of the wallpaper. But I have seen it and I have fixed it, so do not fret. It will get fixed. This is their cute little separate separate backyard area. You can see next to their coffee booth where people can go and sit and have coffee, so they can come outside and do their laundry, which I do end up squeezing into this apartment unit down in that little nook by the bathroom and desk area, which would hypothetically be for her because she is the more creative of the two. So that's kind of her creating space where she might go write music lyrics or chords even. She can bring her guitar down that way. And yeah, this is pretty much it for the landscaping. I fill in the areas around the tree with some grass and shrub just to make it look a little more overgrown because they are busy running their business. They don't have time to maintain their lawn the same way. There's a ball out there for their dog to go play with. I felt safe giving them a big dog in the small apartment. I do think about that when I give Sims pets. I'm really weird about this realism in my gameplay. I don't know. I've always been that way. I think it's just because I like to have it as like a little escape from reality, so I make it a slightly more positive reality. I don't know. I've definitely been trying to change up my gameplay more with doing the not so very challenge. It's pushing me out of my boundary a little bit right off the bat because the first sim is a mischievous sim and I never play mischievous sims. So yeah, it's fun doing something different, and it's definitely opened me up to wanting to try a lot more things in terms of gameplay. So look forward to that down the road by potentially subscribing. If not, you could comment and like on this video. I like interacting with people when they do, so feel free to do so. It also helps support me in the YouTube algorithm, so it definitely means a lot when people take the time to do those little things to show that they're kind of here for me. Anyway, most importantly, to end this video off, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the little walkthrough of the build. Bye guys!